At it again with some chess. This is my third time recording this because the first time I just messed it up, and the second time I forgot to have my mic recording. So let's get started here. Um, so it's an Italian game. Italian is pretty much all I know how to play. Um, which I need to learn more things. I'm thinking of learning Scotch for white and Petrov's Defense for black, just because both of those seem fun. I just don't know how to play either of them yet, so all I play is Italian. So we keep removing. Some classic attacks that I am not worried about. So I defend, we trade, another trade. This is not a good move. Taking with the queen here avoids doubling these pawns, but sort of having these pawns doubled, I sort of like almost, because it lets me just sacrifice one to get the pawn off center when I make some other moves. The other thing this does is it invites knight to d4, which just lets me lose tempo, because now I'm letting him post up his knight in a very strong centralized location, and I'm forced to move my queen in response. I could try to do something, aggressive, maybe move the queen onto the light squares, get something going. Um, but no. He just kind of wins tempo. So this, not a good move, not the worst move, not the best move. We keep removing. At this point, I just start bullying his bishop, and he finally realizes, hey, he can bully my queen in return. I trade for the jokes, really. I trade because I saw that this capture is a check. Um and so I'm like, hey, that'll be funny because then he'll think, oh, I can just take his queen and life goes on. But no, he can't. So I force the trade and then I just move. That was a bad decision, in my opinion. It's pretty equal. Someone who's better at chess could play this just fine, but I much prefer having the knight to a bishop when it's a 1v1 like that. You know, and so this trade here, where I'm winning the bishop but sacrificing my knight, not something I do again. I like when it's uneven like this, when it's not both bishops or both knights, but a mix. I'd much rather end up with the knight at the end of the day than with the bishop. So we keep moving. I start bullying the knight. This is an excellent move. One of the things I think my opponent does pretty well in this game is respond to my threats with threats of his own. He's like, sure, yeah, you can take my knight. That's fine. I'm gonna win your queen if you do that. And this is a trade where again he is posted up. Um, I think technically the best position in Stockfish is just take the trade because I'm up a pawn. Um, I didn't want to do that because again, I don't like having the bishop here, particularly when the bishop is sort of boxed off in this here. Um, so I much prefer just not doing that. So I go on the defensive. Um, he then goes on the defensive because, I was attacking his knight. This pawn is hanging. I defend the pawn in the dumbest way possible. I think the logic was there was logic there, but it doesn't make sense because now I've split the rooks. It would have been much easier to activate the rook on h1. The issue with this is that now my queen is the only thing defending this rook, which isn't a bad thing, but I want to be able to use my queen to for some attacks out in the center, and having to think about making sure I defend this rook is not a good idea here. But it does defend the spawn, so it works in the short term. He brings the knight in. I make this really stupid move. What I don't see is that this just gives him pawn for free. Um, and whatever, right? It's there's nothing I can do. He doesn't see it either, so we just do some trades. I still don't see it. I'm thinking, okay, I'm defending the pawn here. Um, and what I'm expecting to happen is like this cool, like he takes, revealing this defense, and then I push this pawn, attacking the center and revealing an attack on the queen, and like this cool thing. The problem is he sees this now finally. And at this point, I'm like, oh dang, because now he has this, which is also reveal here. But like, he won't do it because then I can take his queen. What I don't see is that this is a check. Now, luckily, he doesn't see it either. But this I gave him. He could have just had this for free and then bounced right back up here to continue blocking his queen. So terrible, terrible decision. Um, and when I finally realized that I made that blunder, he just decides, okay, kick the bishop, and I'm just like, okay, I can't handle this. Trade the pieces. Um, so we enter kind of this mid game slash end game kind of thing, um, where it's pretty simplified now, and I am just losing. Uh, but nothing a good without a good fighting chance. So we continue. I finally move the queen in to start making some attacks. But attentive viewers will have seen that I have blundered checkmate because I forgot about this. And so it's just takes on h1, I block, takes on d1, checkmate. Now, luckily, black doesn't see that either. Uh, and so I'm just freaking out. And so I just move the rook. I'm like, no, 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 I don't like that at all. Um, and he starts attacking my queen. I am full on the defense because here I go. I just blundered checkmate, and he didn't see it, thankfully. But like, I got to make sure I don't do that again. And so he then continues to just annoy me by moving here. Because in positions like these, where it's pretty fortified, we're encamped in the back here, I find it difficult to find ways to make good attacks and to find good tactics. All I can think about is push all of these pawns until they kind of demolish his pawns up there. That is all I can think of. And then this move prevents me from doing that. So I think, okay, let's connect the rooks so I can sneak him in again. And then maybe get the rook up here, protected by the pawn, and get this bishop or this queen, just out of here, so that I can start advancing. But he sort of sees that and just takes control of the e file. So that's probably the really smart move on his point, but does foil my plans a little bit. I do this as a throwaway move. Stockfish says it's the best move in the position, because I guess maybe my queen is now more active here. I did it sort of as a throwaway, I don't know what I'm doing kind of move. He brings the rook in. I'm just like, I don't know what to do. I'm going to be pushing pawns. And then he takes this. Now, this is a really good move. It's threatening checkmate various ways. If I take, takes, and checkmate. If I don't take, then it's takes checkmate or takes. This is looking like a checkmate. Um, and now I think really hard about this, and I come up with the Galaxy Brain move, which is dead simple for everyone who isn't stupid like me, which is just rook to g1. Just stop playing the game. He now can no longer attack me and win my rook, and so like crisis is averted. Now Stockfish has the actually Galaxy Brains take, which is to see that this is actually a pretty slow checkmate if I just don't do anything. If I just move some random pawn or something, it's takes, so that's one move. And then they need two moves to checkmate. Stockfish just says, move my queen right over here. And then I'm threatening mate in one. So if I move the queen and he takes with the rook, cool, I win. So the better move here is to respond to a threat with a threat. Um, but I didn't see that because I had tunnel vision over here. Um, so I'm just thinking, let's block that. He just moves the rook out of the way. Um, and in this position, I have the galaxy brained take, the most genius thing I have ever thought of, which is put us right back in the previous position for some stupid reason. What I'm seeing in this is I'm looking at this synergy. I'm thinking about that pawn. So my thought is, okay, let's, have him move the bishop out of the way, and then this is a checkmate. Uh, and so what I don't see is he can just bring that rook right back, and then we're right back where we were. So this is a dumb move, but somehow it works because he threatens, my rooks down here, but just blunders checkmate and resigns. Um, yeah. So the moral of the story is to not miss the checkmates and to not make blunders and to be better at chess because both of us did not perform very well in this game.